Let me see. Okay. All right, Tyler, how you doing today?
Doing okay. How about yourself?
Uh, Doing great. So, I just looked at your form and kind of see that you've got some neck pain that's been on and off for the last few years, and I thought it would be really nice to go through and talk about the pain that you're experiencing. So, first thing I want to talk about is the MRI. So, you saw that you got some disc degeneration. Is that correct?
Yeah, I did see that.
Yes.
Kind of scary sounding.
Yeah, it is kind of scary sounding because it's the discs kind of support the weight of our body, right? And that's not something we would want to have that big of a problem. But studies have actually shown that uh, disc degeneration is not always related to pain in that area. It's kind of skimpy at best. Sometimes people have pain in that area and they don't have disc degeneration, and sometimes they have disc degeneration but no pain at all. They've had it for quite some time, but they feel no pain. So so you come in with that, and I say okay, but I'm not convinced that that's what's causing your pain, especially if it's been for years and years, and you mentioned that it feels really sensitive to touch your neck and everything. So I wanted to talk more about that in detail. So let me share my screen. Um, can you see the foot here and the nail?
I do see that.
Okay, great. Um, so if this is your foot and you're gonna step on that nail and you actually do step on the nail, how would you know that you're stepping on the nail? Do you think?
I'm assuming it would hurt pretty bad, and I think I would probably jerk my leg away.
Oh yeah, for sure. You could really hurt your foot that way. You could do some damage. And the way that we would know is that our nerves would tell us. They would send a signal up to the spinal cord and into the brain, and the brain would tell you, hey, there's something wrong. And they would, your foot would hurt. And you would kind of have an impulse jerk away as well. Yeah, for sure. So I'm going to skip down to this photo right here. Um, how does the brain decide that this is a painful stimulus? Because the brain makes all the decisions whether something is painful or not. So it's going to get a stimulus impulse from the nerves, and if it crosses a certain threshold, which you see right here, it's going to say, hey, there's a threat to your foot and there's some pain, and we need to, get our foot out of that situation. Does that make sense?
That does make sense. Yeah.
And it's going to cause some damage. And the pain that would come from this would be normal. This would be expected. This is how we want our body to react.
Right.
We certainly would want to feel if there's a nail here doing damage to some ligaments and some muscle and maybe even the bones in the foot. We don't want that. We want to feel that and, be able to protect ourselves. So after a certain amount of time, the body will start to heal, and the sensitivity of that nerve is going to return back to the level that it once was before stepping on the nail. And that's important, but this will take some time and it'll eventually get there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But for some people, we can have that painful stimulus and then we don't return down like a normal injury. We kind of stay here. And this is what we like to say, or it would be overly sensitive if the nerve stayed right here. Do you understand why that might be? It kind of says so right here. I guess I kind of like it to that answer.
Yeah. So what's that little room for activities kind of mean?
So what this means is uh, it takes a smaller stimulus to get to this firing level where you say, ouch, that's a lot of pain, you know?
Oh, that makes sense.
So
Yeah.
if you're down here at this normal level, you could step on like a pebble or something. That doesn't feel great, but like you would have a little spike or something and then it would come back down. But if we step on the pebble right here and it leaves us little room for that kind of reaching that threshold, and then suddenly stepping on the pebble reminds us and feels like stepping on the nail.
That makes a
Does that
lot of
make
sense.
sense?
Yeah, thank you.
Yes. So that might be what's going on in your neck. We are overly sensitive. You're you feel just you have very little room for activity and movement, and little even touching hurts it. So now, how does that come to be? It's can be brought on and made worse by some of these factors around this lady's head. There's ongoing pain job, plenty. You could read these. Now, I noticed in the log here, you said you kind of have some anxiety about your grandmother and financial situation that you're kind of currently living in. Now, I'm a physical therapist and I'm all ears to listen to certain things, but I'm not a psychiatrist. That's not my profession to help you there, but I can point you in the right direction if you have not been helped with any of that. And I really think that you would really benefit physically and emotionally if you got some of these factors addressed. It can really help. Have you thought about seeking out help for this?
Yeah, I have before. I haven't had really anybody ask or acknowledge that, but I would really appreciate it if you can help me
Yeah,
kind of move
I know a
forward.
guy that can really help. He's a friend of mine, so I would love to send him your way, and that would help me in my wheelhouse too. That would really kind of lower that sensitivity and help bring us down, if that's all right with you.
Yeah, I would
Okay.
appreciate that.
Okay. Should we stop there?
Yeah, that works.